And this is Ken Kraetzer for CaMMVetsMedia. We proudly cover cadets, midshipmen, the military, and veterans since 2008. And we're very happy to do something a little different today and hear about Army wrestling. They've got a couple of big meets coming up on Thursday night of this week, and then their Invitational on Sunday. And we're very proud to talk with their head coach, and that is Kevin Ward, who is a graduate of Oklahoma State, where he was a four-time national champion. Just remarkable. Kevin, good to see you today.
Well, thanks so much, Ken. It's good to be with you. I always love to talk Army wrestling, so I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, first off, tell us about the two big events that you have coming up. You're going to have Iowa. Yeah, the Hawkeyes from the Power 5 team there at Crystal Arena on Thursday night, and then you have your Invitational on Sunday with some big-name teams. Tell us a little bit about these two big meets coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really the premier week of wrestling at the Academy, certainly the biggest week of wrestling that we've had quite some time, with an interesting backstory on how we got the Hawkeyes to come here to West Point for a dual meet. And that's tomorrow night, November 17th, 7 p.m. right here at home. So we're fortunate that, we can schedule a national schedule, and we look forward to, they're ranked second in the country right now. They're a perennial power in our sport, and we look forward to welcoming them here and look forward to the battles that we're going to have. We think we're going to set an all-time attendance record for that. So that's big for us. And we followed up a couple of days later with a tournament that we're hosting here at home, an Invitational, with 10 teams involved in it on Sunday, November 20th. And one of the 10 teams there is the number one ranked team in the country, the defending national champions in Penn State. So It's a big week for us. We get to welcome two perennial powers of our sport here to West Point. We get a chance to compete against them, pick up some wins. And so it's big for our program. It's good for the Academy, and it's big for wrestling right here in the Hudson Valley of New York.
Very good. Well, tell us a little bit about some of the cadet wrestlers. And I got to start with your two heavyweights, Paul Robinson, Cade Carlson, both 285. I've been wondering where you've been hiding them from Coach Munkin.
Yeah, I got to keep them out of football's weight room. That's for sure. I think if they're either going to get lost or somebody's going to get confused and they get shuffled into a lineman meeting room up there. But no, those guys, they're big guys. And in college wrestling, that's the max weight limit, is 285 pounds. These are big guys. They're tough competitors. They're athletic. And we're going to see Cade Carlson wrestling this weekend. We'll look forward to seeing him step out there and compete. So yeah, those are big guys. They're fun to watch wrestle because they're athletic for their size, and the teams that are coming here this week are bringing guys of the same sort. They're big, they're strong, but they can really move. So it's high level and exciting to watch heavyweight wrestling.
Well, for those of us who don't get a chance to follow wrestling that often, we obviously see it in the Olympics, and maybe we see it more in high schools around the country. What are some of the classifications of weights that the wrestlers will compete at?
Yeah. Okay. So there's 10 weight classes at the collegiate level, ranging from the smallest at 125 pounds. The heaviest is a 285 pound max. And they'll go in anywhere from 7 to sometimes even 20 pound increments, the heavier you get. But there's 10 weight classes starting at 125 all the way up to heavyweight.
You mentioned some of the other wrestlers that you expect to compete this week.
Yeah, I mean, I really like our lineup a lot. We start 125 pounds with a freshman named Ethan Bergen, who started his collegiate career. I think he's 7-0 on the season right now, with a win over the number 7 ranked guy in the country and a win over another nationally ranked opponent. That's exciting to see us start out, the start of our lineup there. And as you move up, we have some guys that are veterans on the team, but maybe new to the starting lineup. And so we see some veterans like Nate Luquez at 157 pounds that will be stepping out there to compete. Dalton Harkins at 165 pounds is ranked in the top 25 in the nation, and was spent much of his freshman year last year ranked inside the top 30, and he's moving up. I think our highest ranked and most credentialed athlete right now is Ben Pazook, who's a junior at 174 pounds, who just a couple of years ago was the first plebe to ever win our conference tournament on our wrestling team in the 100-year history of our program. He was the first freshman to ever win it. So that's quite an accomplishment. He's ranked inside the top 20 in America. So we have a mix of some guys that have been role players on the team that get a chance to now step out and be the starter, be under the lights. And we have those more experienced guys that have been nationally ranked for some time.
Very good. Now, yesterday, Coach Munkin was going through the regiment that his football players go from classes in the morning to meetings and practice, and then meals and study at night. And tell us a little bit about the regiment for your wrestlers.
Well, I think one thing you'll notice between wrestlers and football players is we eat far fewer meals, and they're not quite as big as the football players. It's a weight-specific sport, so your discipline with your diet and your weight control is one of the most important things that you learn and that you deal with over the course of the season. But yeah, I mean, wrestling at the Division I level, I think, is one of the hardest things that you could do in college sports. And wrestling at West Point is probably the hardest thing that you can do in college sports. And the great thing about that is our guys on our team know that, and they embrace it. And that's why they're here, is they chose to do something that's really hard. And, so our guys, they'll start class around the 7:50 mark in the morning. They'll have class up until lunch, and they'll be able to eat lunch and probably have an hour off after that. They'll go to class again. And then, we'll work out for the second time at 3:30 in the afternoon. So a lot of times we're in the weight room or the wrestling room in the morning before class. And then every day we're in the wrestling room after class. So depending on what the workout calls for that day, it can be really tough combat sessions inside the wrestling room. It can be some technique-based work. And then it's, off to a very disciplined and nutritious dinner, do your homework, and then go to bed, rest and repeat. Let's do the same thing the next day. It's not a glamorous life, but it's a championship lifestyle. And I think that's why our guys thrive so well at the academy, is if you want to be a disciplined wrestler, if it matters to you, then you fit the lifestyle that we need from our cadets.
Well, the first captain, Lauren Drysdale, when we talked to her, said, it's all about grinding at West Point, that you succeed by grinding day after day. Coach Munkin said something very similar yesterday about doing all that and then getting up and doing it the next morning. Got to ask you, what's a combat training session like?
So we use that word. It's obviously not combat like our guys will do when they graduate, but it's it's a full on go. It's a street fight with some rules. That's what it is. It's wrestling. It's one guy's trying to put you down on the mat and hold you there, and you're doing everything you can to do the same thing to them. It's very physical. It's taxing. It's super intense. To people that aren't as familiar with the sport, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like a fight without throwing punches. But those days are, there's really only one way to train that, and that's to do it. You can't simulate it. And in our sport, when you step out under the lights, you have to fight somebody. And if you want to get better at it, you have to fight somebody every day in our wrestling room. So yeah, it's intense, a tough workout. And, but our guys, it's probably their favorite kind of practice, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, we often hear from academy leaders that they want every cadet to be an athlete. And what it sounds like is your wrestlers could go straight from wrestling to the Sandhurst competition in April, where they do those 2 days of going up and down the mountains with full packs, doing military drills along the way. And not to mention ranger training. It sounds, that whole sense of endurance and being able to do it day after day, 24/7. It sounds like your wrestlers are really going to be well prepared when they join the Army.
I think there's a reason that most of our guys branch infantry and they all make it through Ranger School. And we're well represented when you get into Ranger Regiment, Special Forces, Delta Force. Army wrestlers are sprinkled and pretty thick, actually, throughout those units out there in the Army. All I've heard from the leadership at like Ranger School, some of the other most intense Army trainings, is send me more wrestlers. That's what we want. Our guys love it. They thrive under it. And it's like the sport of wrestling deserves credit for that. It prepares these young men for the rigors of what a Ranger School and a Special Forces assessment would be. And that's why our guys crush it.
Hey, I want to ask you about a wrestler who passed away in training in 2019, CJ Morgan. We never met CJ, but he was friends with many of the football players, and we met his family at a golf outing last year supporting his foundation. So well respected. What can you tell us about coaching CJ Morgan?
I mean, just what you said, he was friends with everybody. I say this all the time and people think I'm joking, but I actually mean it. You know, one of the arguments that we all have about CJ is we all thought we were his best friend. You know, he would make everybody feel that way. What can I say about him, you know, that I haven't said over the past 3 years? I mean, he was the best teammate that anybody's ever had. He was a talented athlete and he loved wrestling and he loved to compete, but he was so much more than that. You know, he was everybody's hype man. He brought energy into the room. He had a laugh even bigger than his smile, which was hard to beat. You know, he's just one of those rare individuals that everybody wanted to be around because he made everybody feel better and he made them better. And he left an imprint and an impact on our program. And I appreciate you asking about him because it's important that we keep his memory and his legacy alive. He was such a special person to all of us. And we're thankful for the impact that he made.
Yeah, so appreciate that. I had a chance to meet his parents and his brother at the golf outing last year. We're going to continue to support the CJ Morgan Foundation.
They're wonderful people. Yeah, they're wonderful people. It's a wonderful cause, and we just couldn't say enough good things about that family.
Kevin Morgan, the wrestling coach at Army, four-time national champion, Oklahoma State. Final thought about the two big events you got on Thursday and Sunday, not to mention that meet against Navy in February. We want to try to be there.
Yeah, no, we're just super excited. It's the biggest week of wrestling that we've had here. Like I said, we're going to set an attendance record, I think, for both events. And that's big for us. We hope that the local community will come out and support. It's a chance to see, you know, wrestling is pretty dense in the Northeast, but at the Division I level, there's only a few programs here. And we are, you know, we want to be America's team, but we also want to be the Hudson Valley team and the New York's team as well. So we hope our local community comes out and supports on November 17th and November 20th. And then as we get into February, we have another big home dual meet then against our rival, a few months away. But we expect that one to be an exciting and fun and very competitive bout as well.
Anything Army-Navy is a huge rivalry event at West Point.
It's Kevin, the best. Yeah.
I can only imagine what it's like, and we'll look forward to this year's event against Navy in February. But Kevin Ward, thank you so much for a few minutes describing your program and your wrestlers and the big wrestling events you got coming up at West Point. A great chance for a lot of high school wrestlers to come out and see Division I wrestling at its best.
Absolutely, Ken. Thanks for spreading the word, and I appreciate your time.
Good to see you. And this is Ken Kraetzer for CaMMVetsMedia. We cover cadets, midshipmen, the military, and veterans proudly since 2008. Thanks to Kevin Ward, and thank you for watching. Have a great day.